The next technique, which I think is pretty easy to perform, even if you don't practice, is the leg pinch. So I come in, grab my gun, and it goes between the legs. There's a happy medium between how much gun do you put down here, meaning grab it on the slide. That way you have some meat on there. And then of course, making sure that my muzzle's clear. What I'll find a lot of times is guys want to set the gun right here and just kind of indent it to where the muzzle's actually pointing at your flesh. And we know that firearms rule number 2 is never let your muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. And the reason why this is very important, whether it's to draw or not, is because the draw creates this habit. So once we start to get in here and we lay this gun in, we now have to realize that later on this becomes an emergency reload. So when we start to bring the gun in and set it there and there's meat in front of it, and now when we put in a magazine that slide shuts, I've seen guns go off. Okay, especially when they start getting fouled. So we want to stay away from this danger area and just simply pinch the gun, let the muzzle be clear. So if the gun goes off, whether I'm reloading the gun or drawing the gun or I make a mistake, at least a shot's going to go right here, which is a lot better than going on into the meat. My reaction hand's going to come in, finger is going to be on the thigh. This is for 2 reasons. One, a lot of times when people flip the gun, the finger goes right into the trigger. I'm trying to give this trigger finger an assignment. That assignment is, as soon as it comes up and out, first is to pull the gun into a high tang grip by keeping the finger on top of the slide. And if the finger's on top of the slide, then it's certainly not in the trigger guard. And that's the way I like to do it. That's the way I like to perform it. And then again, shoot from there. So the leg pinch, just something else for you to think about in regards to another option. The next technique we're going to talk about is the holster roll for appendix carry. Now we had already covered that when I come in, I'm just going to move this garment out of my way so I can get a good purchase on the firearm right here. This is a reverse grip. I know some guys are going to want to twist a gun like this, meaning twist your hand, but typically what happens is, even if you're flexible enough to pull this off, the moment in which you do this and it starts to snap around, I find fingers go immediately, they're almost spring-loaded, go right into the trigger guard. So I really want to avoid that. Once I'm here, this is going to get peeled around. This is just one option. I'm hold gun out, reverse it back into the holster, watching the trigger guard. Fingers always placed at the top of the slide. I'll give you more on this in a little bit, but it also pulls the hand high so I can get a good high tang grip on the gun. Once I'm out, as far as putting the gun back in the holster, I can leg pinch it, reverse grip, and then I would manage again the garment. And since it's appendix carry, I really want to make sure that trigger guard's nice, clean, and clear out of the way. No garment, no nothing inside there. So I would just have to take that extra step by just taking that leg pinch, reversing the grip to get it right back in my holster, but it's easily managed and done. Let's talk about the chest roll. This is probably one of the least favorite by people because it's the most dangerous, and typically this is where guns start going off. Earlier I told you why I put my finger where I do. It's for this very reason right here. It's to get this finger in a habit so that it's always going for the top of the slide. So when you flip this gun here in a second, it doesn't go into the trigger guard because there's a habit that's already been established. So with that, I come in, I grab this gun, and I do one of a couple things with it. We're talking the margin for error is really minimal here if I go centered to the chest. Now I still have a cant on the gun, which looks like this from the side. Some people will pin it to the chest. I'm working about this much of my rear slide and sight. So I want something that can really kind of grab on here as far as fabric goes. So I like really aggressive rear sights. Then what's going to happen is the hand's going to transfer over here, top of the slide. I bring the gun up and I shoot. That's done off more kind of like the pec muscle here. Some people drop it a little lower. What you got to be careful for is sometimes I get guys that are a little bit overweight, and what they want to do, because they get this nice belly or survival system that they're working on right here, they use that to just put the gun on top of it, and I'm like shitting my pants because there's flesh backed up behind that. So we don't use our stomach as a placement holder for the muzzle of the gun. So these techniques are either going to work or not. You're going to have to find a different technique, or of course you could work out. Either way, what we're going to now look at is the other option as far as getting the pistol not centered here, but on the side of the body. And again, you're gonna have to figure out what works out best for you. From here, I'm going center, or the side of the body. This is what the air gap looks like when you see the light. Hand rolls over, and then I bring the gun right back up to shoot. This is the method that I prefer because it's a little bit more easier for me to manage off the rib cage. But again, everybody's built different, so you're gonna have to, with a dry gun, go through these techniques and see what works best for you.